Manuel Mejia was born in Zacatecas, Mexico on November 14, 1948. He lived in California before settling in Des Moines. Manuel's granddaughter, Alejandra Pina, will tell you she was one of the luckiest girls in the world to have been raised by 4 parents, her father and mother, and her grandfather and grandmother.
They were always there with us, I guess, with me and my brother since day one. Since we were born, they were always there. If our parents couldn't make it, they stepped in and took the role. And we never saw them as our grandparents. We saw them more as like our parents. And vice versa. They never saw us as their grandkids. They saw us more as their kids.
Her grandparents were always there alongside her parents, making sure that she was safe, healthy, and learning about her heritage, about life, and the allure of the horse culture.
My dad and my uncle started getting their own horses in California, in Gardena. They had, it was at a place that there was a lot of stables. So when I wanted to go, my dad couldn't go. So they would send my grandpa with me. And so my grandpa was like my babysitter, but he already knew how to ride the horses, so he would help me how to ride. He wasn't a charro, but he came from people who had horses, people from the farm, people who knew how to handle animals and how to take care of farm animals. Every milestone I had, like when I was learning how to ride, he was there.
I became friends with the family for the past 2 or 3 years, and we got pretty close with Alejandra's parents and with Alejandra. And she tells us how the love for her escaramuza and charreria came from her parents and from Mr. Mejia, her grandfather, who he instilled the love of this art, this culture in her.
Shortly after a family party, Mr. Mejia became ill and was ultimately diagnosed with COVID-19. This was a shock to the family who knew him as a strong and healthy man.
Well, the day that he left in the ambulance, it was the day he couldn't breathe, but he had been sick for like maybe 2.5 weeks with just like internal fever. Like he could walk, get around and stuff, but he just was feeling off. And I remember one of the calls, they were explaining that he might need an ECMO machine and a cardiologist and all this stuff. And my mom could not understand anything that they were saying, even though she was a nurse in Mexico when she was younger. Like all these terms were not making any sense to her, so I had to be the one to step in and make decisions for him, because at that time the doctors were like, I need to know right now.
Something that I remember and I feel like this happened yesterday. It's a lot of pain in my heart. All my family, my mother, my sister, my brothers, all my siblings, we are so devastated about this situation, because my dad was a healthy person. He always, even at the last moment, he tried to tell me, I'm strong, I'm here, everything is okay, nothing will happen. I have to tell him what the doctor will be doing on him. And I told my dad that the doctor needs to do something for you to help you. And he said, it's okay, don't worry, everything is okay.
This past year, at the beginning of the year, we always perform at the Iowa Horse Fair at the fairgrounds here. And he wasn't there, but I could feel his presence. Even my grandma felt his presence. And it was actually the first year that our performance came out really good. He loved it when we were performing. He always made sure that everything was right with the horse, my saddle, my dress. And at some point I had gained a little bit more weight. And he had told me, he's like, I feel like your horse is struggling a little bit. I think the rider's a little bit too heavy. And I was like, Grandpa, what are you trying to say? And so like, they were like my toughest critics, but they were my biggest fans.
You can say how those values that her grandfather instilled in her really are deep into the persona that she is. So that's something that she's gonna take with her for generations to come. And in our culture, I believe that when you keep passing those values or tradition or love for your culture, that's what keeps our memory alive.
Since he was young, since he was able to work, he worked. and he implemented that on us, even though not directly, like about school and all that stuff. Like he never told us like what to do, but he's like, échale ganas, like siempre échale ganas. Even till this day, like me and my cousins, we talk and we're like, he would be so proud of us, of everything we've achieved. He would be like, échale ganas, like you're where you are, but you'll get to where you want to be at some point if you keep working hard. And we always remember him saying, échale ganas.